Hello, it is Monday, October 4th, 2021. I am Chris Remo, and welcome back to my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Monday today, which means, hopefully, a fairly breezy and easy puzzle to help us settle in to the week. First puzzle of the week after yesterday's, I thought, quite excellent Sunday puzzle. I hope you agree. I hope you either tried the puzzle or watched the video and enjoyed it as well. And and I will do this quickly as befits the hopefully quick Monday puzzle. I did want to mention the Patreon campaign, which has been live for about a number of days now, maybe a week. If you head to patreon.com/dailysolve, you will see a way to help support this channel directly, help make it sustainable and hopefully long-lasting. And you can get some bonus content, including mini crossword weekly speed solves. There's a tough puzzle up there from a crossword solving competition that's actually starting today, but the preseason puzzle I solved and put up on the Patreon, and some other benefits like special access to the Discord server and some other things like a mug. So head over there. It's linked underneath the video in the description field. Thank you to everyone who has supported it. Now, let's also discuss some clues from yesterday's puzzle, but before we do that, let's discuss one clue from the previous puzzle. Limeslayer writes, regarding Arby's in yesterday's clues, or yesterday's responses to yesterday's clues, I think, while its name does derive from the letters R and B, it actually stands for the Raffle Brothers, who founded the restaurant. Attributing the letters to roast beef is a common backronym. So there we go. That'll teach me not to fact check my fact checks. And speaking of fact checking, Billy Breton has a comment about the town of Eureka, Y-R-E-K-A, the unusually spelled, or at least unusually spelled to me, town name in California that came up in yesterday's puzzle. And Billy says, Eureka is a town. It's near the Oregon border. It was named because it was a gold rush town and there was another city in California named Eureka, so they chose the alternative spelling. Mark Twain, traveling through the town, joked that it was named after the reflection of a bakery sign, only the B fell off. And Mark Twain definitely did make that joke in his autobiography. It's actually unclear to me, having read the excerpt, if it's intended as a joke or if he was, well, I guess it's unclear how tongue-in-cheek it is. But there is another explanation of the origin of the name that I found, which is that it could be based on a word meaning North Mountain or White Mountain from the Shasta language, after which Mount Shasta is named. So at least three explanations of the name Eureka, Y-R-E-K-A, and not completely conclusive, at least in my cursory research, which is the most accurate. So I'll leave it to you to decide which story you enjoy the most. So here we go. Jan N. writes that the Côte d'Azur is maybe better known as the French Riviera, which is the southwestern coastline of France and notably has the cities of Nice and Cannes and the country of Monaco along it. So there you go. I don't think I made the connection between the French Riviera and the Côte d'Azur, so there we go. Good bit of context. And finally, Mr. Swiss Lion points out, to my shame, this might be the second time you've been caught by septa versus hepta, which are prefixes for 7. Septa is the Latin root, and hepta is the Greek root, if you're curious about the difference. It's interesting that I believe you've jumped to septa both times, whereas my thoughts immediately jump to the heptapods from Arrival, the 7-limbed creatures. Fair enough. I did see Arrival. I didn't remember the name. I didn't remember that name of those creatures, but it's true. I do generally jump to septa, the Latin root for 7. I don't know why. I suppose I have just heard it more often. So there we go. Septa and hepta. Got to keep that in mind when I see that kind of clue. So shall we move on to the Monday puzzle? I think we shall. This is a crossword that's been constructed by Christina Iverson. That is certainly a name I recognize. And Andrea Carla Michaels. I think I've seen that name once or twice as well. This was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. And I am ready to get started. I hope you are as well. Let's get going. The head of a monastery. Head of a monastery would be an abbot. Blank Carlo, gambling mecca. Monte Carlo. Corn on the cob. There was a great Powell and Pressburger movie called The Red Shoes. I think I'm thinking of The Red Shoes. Am I? There's a woman, a sort of matronly, older, wealthy woman who constantly refers to Monte Carlo as Monty, and it's a very good and a funny character trait in the context of the film. Hello, it's me. I'm here to interrupt myself so that I can correct myself to save the trouble of a commenter having to do it for me. I was not thinking of the Powell and Pressburger film, The Red Shoes. I was thinking of the Alfred Hitchcock film, Rebecca, which features Florence Bates as the matronly character with the sort of compulsive repeating of the phrase Monty to refer to Monte Carlo, where she loves to holiday. So that is what I was thinking about. I apologize. Let's get back to the solve. Might be misremembering the film, but I think it's from The Red Shoes. Anyway, handy way of communicating in brief. A handy way of communicating would be sign language, in this case, American Sign Language, ASL. That's a good initialism to remember for the crossword. A sound heard in a herd. Could be baa, as in baa of a sheep. Listen blank. Could be listen bud or listen bub, I think, with 3 letters and a B. So let's just leave the BU and move on. Musical Yoko would be Yoko Ono, the wife of John Lennon of the Beatles. Dry heat bath is a sauna. An accessory for a witch, maybe a broom, yes. And here we see degrees for CEOs are MBAs. Blank and Crake, Margaret Atwood novel. This is Oryx and Crake, the Margaret Atwood novel. This very instant now, a little piggy could be a toe, as in the children's nursery rhyme. This little piggy went to market, this little piggy went home. I don't remember what all the piggies did, but they correspond to your toes. Come into view would be emerge. The Queen of the Nile, informally. Queen of the Nile, informally. Is that... Seems like it's a nickname for something, I suppose. I'm not sure. Sound from a piggy would be oink, from one of the little toes. And a place for flowers and oysters. I don't know, not immediately seeing that. But to serve up a whopper, colloquially, would be to lie. To tell a whopper, to serve it up. A traditional end of summer. Something weekend? What is this? Oh, places for flowers and oysters. Oyster beds and flower beds. I see. There we go. Corner pieces and checks are rooks or castles. So what is going on here? We have listen, bud, or bub. So, oh, Labor Day weekend? Okay, that's the holiday in the United States that tends to mark the end of summer and I think the beginning of the school year generally. Traditional end of summer, Labor Day weekend. There we go. Alternative to Beano, Gas-X. I've heard of this. I don't actually know what it does. Obviously something around gas. I guess you take it to, if you have an excess of gas. Sprinkle as of salt is a dash of salt. Aimed at is targeted. Some menthol cigarettes. This would be a brand, Kools cigarettes, I think. Things bullfighters wave. Capes, I suppose. And as we learned from the crossword a couple weeks ago, it is a myth, apparently, that bulls get enraged when they see the color red, despite how it is generally portrayed in cartoons and things. Othello villain would be Iago. I was getting the G from Iago was already infiltrating my mind. Organize as an exhibition. To organize as an exhibition. I don't know, I'm not immediately seeing it, apologize. Of the stars is astral. Blank Beta Kappa. I don't know anything about this fraternity. This refers to a fraternity in the United States, sort of male club system. Phi Beta Kappa. It's probably been in movies or something. Swing clarinetist Shaw would be Artie Shaw, jazz clarinetist. To dare to exceed normal limits would be to push the envelope. So this is a Monday puzzle, so there will be a theme somewhere in it. There will be at least some theme, even if it's a light one. We've got Labor Day weekend, push the envelope. Those don't really add up to anything yet for me. So maybe those are just long answers, perhaps not related to any sort of theme. Oh, I see. To organize as an exhibition might be to curate an exhibition. There we go. That makes sense. Salvador, who painted melting watches. That would be Salvador Dali. And We Try Harder, auto rental company. Avis, I think, is an auto rental company. And coves and fjords are geographical features. They are inlets in coastline. If one walked nervously back and forth, one paced the room, say. And FedEx or DHL. DHL came up recently, and I thought it was a German shipping company, and it sort of is. It's owned by a German company, but it was founded in San Francisco. Anyway, delivery service. Because remember, when you see an or, FedEx or DHL, it may look like a plural because we've got two things, but in fact, the or means we're only referring to either one of them. So it is a single delivery service is the answer. Airport guesses for short are ETAs, estimated times of arrival. And to move crabwise is to sidle, to crab walk, to move sideways. Parts of I's and J's, lowercase i's and j's anyway, include dots. And lawn cutting tools are edgers. You might edge the plant to smooth it out. Before the due date, something is early if it's before the due date, and an alternative to suspenders is a belt. Yeah, right, one might say. I bet. To stray from a topic, as I often do on this series, as in that Monte Carlo minor anecdote, is to digress. And recipients of a welcome sight proverbially are sore eyes. Something is a sore eye. You have sore eyes when you have been you're beaten down, you're not seeing anything inviting, but then a welcome sight eases those sore eyes. All right. Like the 1st through 5th grades, in the United States at least, that's elementary school. Primary school in many other countries. If something tilts, it leans. To frankly admit something is to own up. To own it, own up, probably own up to it. But let's leave it blank for now. Like screen door, what screen doors usually don't do, they usually don't open in, they usually open outward. If one freaks out, one panics, so it looks like own it. Frankly admit something, and to be overdramatic is to emote, to externalize your emotions. Most emails offering life insurance policies, say, are spam email. And Brian, who was once with Roxy Music, is Brian Eno, the musician and record producer. If one said something aloud, one vocalized it? Why am I not seeing what the form of this word is? Apologies, you probably are. To crack and redden as lips are to chap. You might have chapped lips. In the U.S. era of Downton Abbey, that's PBS, which airs a lot of British television in the United States. The public broadcasting system, that is. A setting for a couple's cruise. Setting for a couple's cruise, and there's a question mark, which is an indicator of some kind of pun or wordplay, but I'm not immediately seeing it. So let's jump back up here. A hot dog topping. Hot dog might be topped with chili. In some regions, anyway. Oh, voiced. Of course, it said something aloud. One voiced it. Yes. Basil or dill, those are each herbs, depending on your region. 1967 hit. Oh, here, there is a theme. 1967 hit by the Tremolos, suggested by the starts of 17, 27, and 46 across. Labor, push, and delivery. So these all have to do with giving birth, presumably. Labor, push, and delivery. So here comes my baby. There we go. I've heard that song. That's a classic tune, but I didn't know the name of the band, the Tremolos. The tremolo is a musical effect that's sort of I guess you could describe it as sort of a warbling. There's some guitars, like a Fender Stratocaster, which is a pretty classic rock and roll electric guitar, have a bar called a tremolo bar or a whammy bar, which is a sort of lever that you can shake, I suppose, on the guitar and it will raise and lower the pitch of the tone a little up and down to create that warbling effect. That's a tremolo, and so that band was named after that effect, presumably. All right, if one ruffles the feathers of someone, one irks them. Oh, and a setting for a couple's cruise is the Ark. I see, Noah's Ark, which was full of couples of animals who then took a very long cruise. There we go. Here we have blank gay, World War II bomber, Enola Gay. Here's a good example of how cluing is, how difficulty in puzzles is really as much to do, or even more to do, with cluing than it is with the actual answers that fill the puzzle. Because I think we actually had blank gay as a clue in a recent crossword on its own. Whereas here on a Monday puzzle, which is an easier puzzle, we have the explanation World War II bomber, the Enola Gay. And it's the exact same knowledge. It's just one has a bit more context to help jog your memory if you happen to know it. If you don't know it at all, I suppose it wouldn't help. But that's an example of how puzzles differ in difficulty purely through cluing rather than fill. All right, we're number 1. We're number blank was 1. And then here we have believer in a non-intervening God. That would be a deist. A lot of I think the number of the founders of the United States were deists. In other words, had some sort of belief in a higher power, but not one who actually directly affects our lives or has that sort of intervention. Okay, some toothpastes and hair goops are gels. Extreme happiness is glee, and an aspiring attorney's exam is an LSAT. That's one of those things I think I've largely learned from the crossword, actually, the LSAT. Okay, here we have Scrooge's Phooey is Bah Humbug from Christmas Carol. In the past is ago, 3 years ago, 3 years in the past. Diner sandwich for short, probably a BLT, a bacon, lettuce, and tomato. I remember seeing a J. Kenji Lopez-Alt, who's a very accomplished food writer and cookbook author and chef, pointed out about a BLT that it is not a bacon sandwich with tomatoes. It is a tomato sandwich seasoned with bacon. The tomato really is the most important part to get right. You can have mediocre bacon in a BLT, but you really want great tomatoes. And I think that's really true. He has a whole manifesto about how to construct a great BLT. And it's really worth, I mean, if you don't even think you like BLTs, which I don't know that I ever really thought I did, it's worth making a great one because it's actually quite an incredible sandwich if you get it right. All right, bird on the Mexican flag is an eagle, and many vaccinations are shots, which means definitely is yes. So there we go. You solved a Monday puzzle in 12:45. That would be, I would say, on the high end of a Monday puzzle for me, but there were a few digressions for me in this puzzle. I don't know why. I decided to go off on some various flights of fancy this time, but hopefully it wasn't too bothersome. So that was a nice, solid Monday puzzle, I think. A good opportunity to explain one of the ways in which a Monday puzzle can be easier than other puzzles. And a nice, simple theme. Nothing too ambitious, but that's fine on a Monday. This is not sometimes a Monday theme will help you solve the puzzle to make it even easier, but you don't always need that on a Monday. They tend to be fairly straightforward. So this was just a fun little gag around the song Here Comes My Baby. Labor, push, and delivery. Hope you enjoyed this one. I thought it was fun. Nice, gentle way to ease into our crossword solving week. And if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe to the channel. And then you'll see these videos as they go live each morning. And why not consider telling a friend? Why not tell a friend about this series? They might enjoy it. Never know. They could. They might like this sort of thing. They might enjoy a man doing crosswords and digressing about various topics that are inspired by that crossword. Who knows? And if you do enjoy it and particularly feel invested in the continuation of this series, please do consider heading over to the Patreon campaign at patreon.com/dailysolve, which is linked in the description field underneath this video, and check out the different tiers. Check out the different ways that you can contribute to the sustainability of this series and get something in return, like that bonus content, that special access to the Discord chat server, and merchandise and special recognition, for instance, at the end of this very video. And that is something I do appreciate, the support that people give at some of those higher tiers, which is why I do thank them directly. And today I would like to thank Stephen Norrie, as well as always, the inestimable Hood Monster. So thank you so much, Stephen Norrie and Hood Monster, for helping make this series an ongoing concern and helping to bring it to everyone else. And speaking of that, thank you to everyone else for watching it. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around to the end. With that, I will take my leave. I hope you have an excellent remainder of your Monday, and I also hope you'll join me for the maybe slightly more difficult Tuesday puzzle tomorrow. We'll see you then. Take care.